Hi, my name is Paul and this is PJT Ventures. Join me while I ramble on like an empty dump truck. Today's ramble, we are working on the LeTourneau Tournapull Model D scraper. Now, we had a bit of a breakthrough. I'd say a major breakthrough. We got a new bridge rectifier. So just a bit of a recap. In this was the old bridge rectifiers. There was a bridge rectifier here and another one right there, and this was an oil bath where it would have had the dangerous, scary transformer oil with potentially having PCBs and cancer-causing forever chemicals. So I was very careful and I drained this and cleaned it, sealed all of that away, and then tried to clean up the existing Selenium aluminum plate rectifiers, but they didn't work. And so then with the help of some viewers as well as some industry experts, I got in touch with the local welding repair company, and they sold me a bridge rectifier from a welder. And I have a second one hopefully coming. These leads are for the rectifier that charges the DC batteries. This bridge rectifier is what excites the generator. So this is a 200 amp rated rectifier, so it's a little bit overkill, but we don't really know what kind of amperage any of this stuff actually is, because of course none of it's actually listed on any of it. So anyways, exciting. So I installed this yesterday and I couldn't get it to work, and then what I discovered in looking in the wiring diagram is that this was a positive ground system. So the batteries back in the day, I think this is about a mid-50s machine, so that is kind of right when they switched, I think, from positive ground to negative ground. Anyway, so this morning I switched the batteries and made it a positive ground, and boom, just like that, I'm now getting I've now got the three-phase generator to excite, and it even has operated the steering, because of course the steering motor was shielded enough that it never got corroded or damaged. And it'll probably still need to be gone through, but it is steering on its own, under its own power, so that's exciting. So I'll go over kind of some values. We'll get it fired up, we'll get it warmed up, and I'll show you kind of some of the readings that I've been taking. And yeah, super exciting, super exciting. So I think this is the primary, secondary transformer. These are the three legs of the three-phase power. It's a non-grounded three-phase system, so there's not a ground. There's only just the three legs. But anyways, yeah, so we do have to put together the steering brakes, because right now I just had them completely undone and removed in order to see if we could get that, do a bump test on that steering electric motor in there. So we'll get that buttoned up and maybe even see if we can take it for a drive. We finally get to drive it with its own steering, so I'm pretty excited. So hopefully it all comes together. So I know this is long, but I'm stoked. So anyways, we'll get started. Well, that's pretty exciting. Excuse me. Yeah, so that electromagnet, you can see, boom, boom, just pulls down. And so we'll get that put back together, and I'll have to read about how much adjustment and all of that. Oh boy, it's exciting though. That, yeah, and then the voltages and so the voltages are supposed to be, it's rated at full RPM, it's rated at 300 volts and of course 120 cycles. And so we're sitting at like 285 for the volts, and of course we were like literally right on 120 cycles or hertz. So that's great news. And I mean, on this little dash amp gauge, they talked about, you know, it working under normal conditions is supposed to draw around 27 or so amps when it's under load for a single function. And so that was almost perfect. You're supposed to do a bunch of different tests where you actually undo the brake release wiring and do a kind of like a deadhead or a static load, just a real fast full load against the locked motor to see that you get about a 60 amp draw. And that's part of the testing procedures, but we'll maybe pass on that for now. Anyways, yeah, sweet. So that's really exciting. So it looks like that positive ground issue, the new bridge rectifier has solved these operational issues. Now, of course, these guys, that steering one, we were fortunate that it just worked because it was sheltered in there. But those two are probably going to have the same rebuild. Maybe not the gear cases. I bet you the gear cases just need to have their oils drained. But I mean, you can see there that there's oil leaking out of that on either side. So chances are they're going to have to get a, maybe we don't have to replace the bearings, but definitely the seals, and then go through those motors. Now, these motors might even be worse than the first motor that we've tore into, because that motor got removed and then actually was stored inside for many years, whereas these two have been out in the wild. So anyways, we're going to put this together, check it out. Okay, here is the steering motor with brake assembly. I had I'd taken this guy, I'd taken the brake off when we used the generator with the when I used the gen set over there to just bump test this motor to see if it worked, and because I wasn't sure how the electromagnetics would handle it or how that would be, and I just wanted to kind of try. And anyways, so this, I haven't touched this motor other than just to remove the brake, but now we're just going to put it back together. I haven't buffed anything. I think these guys, it goes like this, and then like this, and then these springs, I think. Yeah. Anyway, so I haven't taken this apart or serviced it. It seems to work, and I preemptively, of course, I had checked for shorts. There was no shorts, and now I've completely isolated everything else. I've undone all of the electrical connections so that no power can get to the other 3 motors, and so we should be safe to, something doesn't seem right. Oh, I see. So there should be no chance of damaging the electrical equipment because those motors aren't tested yet. So we should be okay. Good. This guy. And then this guy, of course, we went over how this thing works in a previous episode. It still has those studs. You can see they've been beat on. I doubt anybody uses the wrench. I think they probably used a hammer. But for the time being, I'm not going to try to adjust or clean up anything. This will probably end up coming out and getting refurbished, but for the time being, for morale, for testing purposes, for the fans of the mighty Tournapull, we got to drive it around. We got to see it steer and be fun. Of course, it's interesting and satisfying to learn about the motors and to fix them. And I mean, that one we're working on right now, of course, everything's coming along really smooth, but it's still not as fun as driving them around. So anyways, we'll get these tightened up. I'm gonna just I'm pretty sure I should just be able to tighten this up, and we'll just test it, but I bet it's gonna be just fine with the previous setting for the amount that we're going to try it today. steering working, we got the generator working, and only we could be scraping snow today if we had those other 2 inches going. It's pretty smoky right now as it burns off this. Bit of dripping.